In the last chapter, we have discussed in the last topic. In the last video, we have discussed about the author and the theme of chapter Indigo. Now let's come to summary. So, in the chapter Indigo, it details numerous events in the life of Gandhi which he witnessed in Champaran, Bihar. It was in 1916 that Gandhi was approached by a peasant Rajkumar Shukla from Champaran. He wanted Hanjima. So, here the summary, we will again start the summary. So, where we were. He wanted Gandhi to visit Champaran and do something for the conditions of peasants there. Due to his persistent effort, he was successful in bringing Gandhi to Champaran after a few months. On the way to Champaran from Calcutta, Gandhi, in order to understand the problems of sharecroppers, decided to meet a lawyer, Rajendra Prasad in Patna, and Professor J.P. Kirpalani at Muzaffarpur. By the time Gandhi reached Champaran, the news of his mission had spread like wildlife. After reaching Champaran, Gandhi learned that arable areas were dividing into large estates owned by the Englishmen and were worked by the peasants. Indigo was the main commercial crop of the areas as the landlords forced all the tenants to grow indigo on 50% of the land and surrendered the entire crop as rent. When the landlords learned that synthetic indigo had been developed by Germans, they asked the tenants to pay them compensation for releasing them from 50% arrangement that they had signed. This brought misery to the peasants and they wanted Gandhi to help them. Gandhi first of all collected all the facts and information. He also dealt with the resistance of the British while going to investigate the maltreatment of a peasant in a village near Motihari. Gandhi was ordered to return midway and was served a summons to report to the court the following morning. The peasants came in huge numbers outside the court to support Gandhi and the officials were unable to control the crowd. As a result, the trial was postponed and so allowed Gandhi to move around freely. All the prominent lawyers including Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Malana Mazharul Haq arrived in Champaran to support Gandhi and decided to go to jail with Gandhi if he was sent to jail. But Gandhi received a written communication that the Lieutenant Governor had dropped the case. This was the beginning of the triumph of civil disobedience in India. Gandhi, along with the team of lawyers, continued his investigation and met the Lieutenant Governor 4 times. Finally, an official inquiry was ordered. Gandhi accepted 25% of the money offered to the farmers as refund. This insulted courage among the farmers and marked their victory over injustice and exploitation. After this, Gandhi worked for the economic and cultural development of the area. With the help of Mahadev Desai and Narai Parikh, their wives, Gandhi wives and his son, Gandhi opened schools and taught cleanliness and sanitation. A volunteer doctor came to improve the appalling state of health service. Gandhi taught a lesson of self-reliance to his followers by refusing the idea of keeping Charles freer and reduced in India to help him. As per Gandhi, it was sign of weakness the to seek the help of an Englishman to bolster their efforts. Thus, Champaran became a symbol of self-reliance and an Indian independence. List the places. Now, the question comes from NCRT. List the places that Gandhi visited between his first meeting with Shukla and his arrival at Champaran. गांधी कोलकाता से चले था, कलकत्ता से कानपुर, फिर अहमदाबाद. नहीं, Gandhi visited Kanpur, Ahmedabad, Kolkata, Patna between his first meeting with Shukla and his arrival at Champaran. What did the peasants pay? What did the peasants pay the British landlords as rent? What did the British now want instead and why? What would be the impact of synthetic indigo on the prices of natural indigo? Peasants were compelled to plant 50% of their holdings with indigo and surrender their entire harvest as rent. With the advent of synthetic indigo, they wanted agreements from the tenants to pay them compensation for being released from 50% agreement. As the synthetic indigo was much cheaper, so the rates of natural indigo would also go down. Why did Gandhi agree to a settlement of 25% refund to the farmers? Gandhi believed that the amount of refund was less important than the fact that the landlords had been forced to return part of the money. With this refund, they were living some of their prestige, so he agreed to a settlement of 25% refund. Why do you think Gandhi considered the Champaran episode to be a turning point in his life? The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life because it brought him his first victory of civil disobedience. Gandhiji went to Champaran to help the poor peasants. He got an opportunity to test the basic principle of his movement in India. It proved as a testimony for the success of his non-violent way to get freedom for India. The peasants of Champaran suffered exploitation, injustice and atrocities at the hand of British landlords. First they compelled them to grow indigo on 50% of the land and give it to them as rent. But later, with the invention of synthetic indigo in Germany, they obtained agreement from them to pay them compensations. Peasants were badly exploited. Gandhi first of all united them and then took out fear out of their hearts and made them fearless to fight for their rights. His victory at Champaran gave Gandhi strength and courage to fight for the freedom of the nation. How was Gandhiji able to influence the lawyers? Gandhiji influenced the lawyers through his honestness and conviction. First he chided them for charging a heavy fee from peasants to fight their cases. Second, when lawyers thought of returning back to their places in case of Gandhi would get arrested, Gandhi made them realize that it would be very sad and impudent on their part to not do anything for their own people when a stranger was ready to go to jail for them. Lawyers realized their moral duty and decided to accompany Gandhiji in prison in case he got arrested. Gandhi evoked a sense of belongingness and duty in the lawyers for the people of this area. He did this by giving them a textbook example of selfless service for them. What was the attitude of average Indian in smaller localities towards the advocate of Home Rule? Advocates of Home Rule were considered the enemies of the British government. Anyone who would show sympathy toward them was treated badly by the British. In small localities, the average Indian was afraid to show sympathy to the advocates of Home Rule due to the fear of dire consequences. But there was a surprising drastic change that Gandhi experienced in Muzaffarpur. Here he was welcomed at the station by J.B. Kirpalani, who was a British employer, along with the large group of students. Not only this, but his host was a government school teacher. How were Shukla and Gandhi ji received in Rajendra Prasad's house? When Shukla and Gandhi ji reached Rajendra Prasad's house, he was out of town. Their servants knew Shukla as a poor peasant who always used to pester their master. They thought Gandhi ji to be a peasant. They both were treated as a peasant. They both were treated as a peasant and were made to sit on the floor and were asked to draw water from the well. And were not allowed to draw water from the well. Here the question says that how Shukla and Gandhi ji received in Rajendra Prasad's house. जब शुक्ला और गांधी जी पहुंचे थे राजेंद्र प्रसाद के घर में, तो फिर जो राजेंद्र प्रसाद था वो घर से बाहर था. सर्वेंट्स को पता था कि जो शुक्ला है ना, ये पुअर पीसेंट है, हु ऑलवेज यूज टू पेस्टर देयर मास्टर. ठीक है, बट गांधी जी पर उसको ये भी लगा कि जो गांधी है ना वो भी एक पीसेंट है. ये जो इनका वो था ना सर्वेंट, इन दोनों का एज अ पीजेंट ही ट्रीट किया. तो उनको बोला कि भी तो कुर्सियों पे नहीं बैठेगा, फ्लोर पर ही बैठेगा. इट वाज सिट ऑन द फ्लोर एंड वर नॉट. और ऐसे नहीं कि उनको तो कुएं उस जमाने में कुएं होते थे ना, कब मोटर पंप होते थे, कुएं होते थे ना, तो फिर कुएं में से भी नहीं पानी निकालने दिया. अब अगला है कि हाउ डिड गांधी जी बिगिन हिज मिशन इन चंपारण. जब गांधी चंपारण में पहुंचे, गांधी जी कलेक्टेड ऑल द फैक्ट्स एंड इंफॉर्मेशन. ठीक है, ही विजिटेड द सेक्रेटरी ऑफ ब्रिटिश लैंडलॉर्ड एसोसिएशन. उत्थे उन्होंने ब्रिटिश लैंडलॉर्ड एसोसिएशन मिले, बट कुड नॉट गेट एनी इन्फॉर्मेशन. ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ information नहीं मिली. He also called on the British official commissioner of 3rd Division, but could not get any positive response. So he proceeded to Motihari, the capital of Champaran. In this way, he started his mission in Champaran. How did Gandhiji react to commissioner's advice and where did he go? यहाँ पर क्वेश्चन कह रहा है कि जो कमिश्नर की एडवाइस थी वहां पर गांधी ने कैसे रिएक्ट किया, ते उसके बाद वो कहां पर गया. गांधी जी को एक ऑफिशियल नोटिस मिला था विद एन एडवाइस फ्रॉम द कमिश्नर टू लीव चंपारण इमीडिएटली. बट ही रिफ्यूज टू ओबे इट. गांधी जी को एक ऑफिशियल नोटिस मिला था फ्रॉम द कमिश्नर टू लीव चंपारण इमीडिएटली, बट उसने उसे मना कर दिया कि भी मैंने अभी चंपारण छोड़ के नहीं जाना है. ही वॉज देन सर्व्ड अ समन्स टू अपीयर इन द कोर्ट. तो फिर उसको कोर्ट में बुलाया गया। उसी दिन ही उसको कोर्ट में बुलाया गया। देन गांधी सेंट अ टेलीग्राम, फिर गांधी ने टेलीग्राम भेजा राजेंद्र प्रसाद को टू कम अलॉन्ग विद हिज इन्फ्लुएंशियल फ्रेंड्स, मतलब कि उसको मैसेज भेजा कि अपने जो साथी हैं उसको उनके साथ आए हो कोर्ट में। वाइस राजकुमार शुक्ला डिस्क्राइब्ड एज बीइंग रेजोल्यूट, यहाँ पर राजकुमार शुक्ला रेजोल्यूट के तरह कैसे एक्ट किया। अब जो राजकुमार शुक्ला है वो ना एक पुअर इलिटरेट पीजेंट है फ्रॉम चंपारण। जब उसे पता लगा कि गांधी जी लखनऊ में हैं, he decided to meet him and ask him to help the poor sharecroppers of चंपारण। उसने डिसाइड किया तो उसको मीट करने के लिए और मिलने के लिए और उसकी हेल्प करने के लिए फॉर द पुअर शेयरक्रॉपर्स ऑफ चंपारण। He requested Gandhi to come to Champaran, but Gandhi was not free. राजकुमार शुक्ला ने गांधी को कहा कि भी तू चंपारण आ जा, बट गांधी फ्री नहीं था। ही हैड अपॉइंटमेंट्स इन कानपुर, क्योंकि उसकी अपॉइंटमेंट थी कानपुर में एंड इन अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया। भाई इतना बंदा था तो फिर अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया में भी उसकी अपॉइंटमेंट चल रही थी। शुक्ला फॉलोड हिम एवरीवेयर, बट जो शुक्ला था ना वो मानना ही नहीं उसको, उसके पीछे पीछे चलता रहा। एंड इवन टू हिज आश्रम एट अहमदाबाद, और इतना ही नहीं उसके आश्रम तक भी पहुंच गया था। एंड अर्ज हिम टू फिक्स अ डेट। फाइनली गांधी हैड टू एग्री टू विजिट चंपारण। दिस क्लियरली शो दैट शुक्ला वाज रेजोल्यूट। How did Champaran peasants react when they heard Mahatma had come to help them? जो मुजफ्फरपुर के पीजेंट्स थे उन्होंने कैसे रिएक्ट किया कि एक महात्मा आया उनकी हेल्प करने के लिए। When गांधी जी रीच मुजफ्फरपुर ऑन हिज वे टू चंपारण, मुजफ्फरपुर क्या है कि एक कैपिटल है चंपारण की। पीजेंट्स को उसकी अराइवल का पता चल गया। दे ऑल गैदर्ड इन लार्ज नंबर्स टू शो देयर सपोर्ट टू देयर सेवियर। तो फिर बहुत ज्यादा जो पीजेंट्स थे वो इकट्ठे हो गए टू शो देयर सपोर्ट इन देयर सेवियर। मोरओवर व्हेन गांधी जी was to appear in the court after he was served a summon, peasants in large number filled the streets of Motihari. The British officials became helpless to handle them, but made Lieutenant Governor drop the case against Gandhi ji. Lieutenant Governor had to drop the case against Gandhi ji. अब क्योंकि ना गांधी जी के जो साथ लॉयर्स आए थे जो उसने बुलाए थे राजेंद्र प्रसाद की मदद से, ठीक है, तो फिर जो जज में कोर्ट था लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर, उसको ना केस ही दर्ज करना पड़ा क्योंकि उसके लिए ना तय खाना ही छोटा पड़ गया था कि वो इतने बंदे रखेगा कहाँ। द लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर हैड टू ड्रॉप द केस अगेंस्ट गांधी जी आफ्टर रिलीजिंग द support of the masses that he had. When Gandhiji arrived in the court in response to the summons, he was served. The town of Motihari was filled with large crowds. The British officials felt helpless and had to take Gandhiji's help to control the mob. अब ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर्स को ही गांधी जी की हेल्प करनी पड़ी तो कंट्रोल द मॉब। अब मॉब किसके लिए आई थी? गांधी जी को बचाने के लिए और अपनी हेल्प लेने के लिए गांधी जी से, ठीक है, क्योंकि गांधी जी आए ही थे था कि इन पीजेंट्स की हेल्प कर सकें। फियरिंग द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस द केस वाज पोस्टपोन्ड एंड लेटर ड्रॉप्ड। वाह। अब now next question rises that why did Gandhiji oppose many his friend Andrews offer to say stay in Champaran and help the peasants. अब गांधी जी opposed when his friend Andrew offered to stay in Champaran to help the peasants, क्योंकि वो चाहता था कि जो बंदे हैं चंपारण के वो सेल्फ रिलायंट बने, अपने आप पे काम करें, अपना पे विश्वास रखें, सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस रखें खुद पे. एंड ही वांटेड देम नॉट टू डिपेंड ऑन अदर्स. और वो चाहता था कि जो ये बंदे हैं ना, ये किसी भी ब्रिटिश ऑफिशियल पे डिपेंड ना करे, मतलब कि खुद के ऊपर डिपेंड करे, किसी और के ऊपर डिपेंड ना करे, मतलब कि इंडिपेंडेंट रहे. Depend on others to win their battle, but build up their self confidence. और इसके लिए उनके ऊपर सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस बनाना बहुत जरूरी था. How is Gandhi critical of lawyers? Gandhiji came to know about the plight of poor peasants of Champaran. He was told that Muzaffarpur lawyers frequently represented peasants group in court. Gandhiji cheated them for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. After his cheating, the lawyers realized that it was shameful for them not to help peasants, as Gandhiji, being a stranger, was ready even to go to jail for the peasants. Now we will stop the video here. Next question of this chapter indigo we will do in next video. Till then, please like, share and subscribe to our channel Techno English.